You're about to embark on a journey that will challenge everything you thought you knew about kindness. Brace yourself, because what I'm about to share might just turn your world upside down. We have all heard it countless times, be kind. They say kindness is the greatest virtue they preach. But what if I told you that kindness, this seemingly innocent quality we have been taught to cherish, has the power to absolutely ruin your life? Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not here to turn you into a heartless, uncaring individual. That's not the goal. I'm here to open your eyes to the hidden dangers of unchecked kindness, to show you how this beautiful trait, when misused or misunderstood, can lead you down a treacherous path of self-destruction. So we're about to explore 4 ways kindness can wreak havoc on your life. And trust me, by the time we're done, you will never look at kindness the same way again. You will understand why being too kind can be just as dangerous as being too cruel. You will learn how to harness the power of kindness without letting it control and destroy you. Number 1, kindness can make you a doormat. How many times have you said yes when every fiber of your being was screaming? No, how often have you put others' needs before your own, even when it meant sacrificing your own well-being? That's the dark side of kindness rearing its ugly head. When we're too kind, we often forget to set boundaries. We become so focused on pleasing others that we lose sight of our own needs and desires. We transform into human doormats, letting people walk all over us in the name of being nice. Being kind doesn't mean being a pushover. It doesn't mean saying yes to every request or demand that comes your way. Real kindness, the kind that doesn't ruin your life, starts with being kind to yourself first. Let me share a story with you. I once knew a woman named Sarah. Sarah was the epitome of kindness. She was always there for her friends, always ready to lend a helping hand. She would drop everything at a moment's notice if someone needed her. It sounded admirable, didn't it? But as time went on, Sarah's life began to unravel. She was constantly exhausted, always running from one person's crisis to another. Her own dreams and goals fell by the wayside. Her relationships became one-sided, with her always giving and others always taking. She had become a doormat, and her kindness was ruining her life. Don't let yourself become Sarah. Remember, saying no doesn't make you unkind. It makes you human. It makes you someone who values their own time and energy. And that, my friends, is the foundation of true kindness. When you constantly put others first, you're not just sacrificing your time or energy. You're sacrificing your dreams, your goals, your very identity. Every time you say yes to someone else's request, you're saying no to something of your own. Maybe it's that project you have been wanting to start. Maybe it's that book you have been meaning to read. Or maybe it's just some much needed rest and relaxation. Each time you prioritize others at the expense of yourself, you're chipping away at your own potential. The more you sacrifice yourself for others, the less you have to give in the long run. It's like trying to pour from an empty cup. You can't give what you don't have. Your kindness becomes a finite resource, one that you're rapidly depleting. So if you want to be truly kind, if you want to make a real difference in the world, you need to start by filling your own cup first. Take care of yourself, pursue your passions, follow your dreams. Because only when you're at your best can you truly be there for others. Remember, you're not being selfish by putting yourself first sometimes. You're being smart. You're being strategic. You're ensuring that you have the resources and energy to be kind in a sustainable way. If you were on an airplane and the oxygen masks dropped, what's the first thing they tell you to do? Put your own mask on first before helping others. Why? Because if you pass out from lack of oxygen, you can't help anyone else. The same principle applies to kindness. So the next time you feel guilty for saying no, for taking time for yourself, remember this: by taking care of yourself, you're actually setting yourself up to be kinder in the long run. You're ensuring that when you do give, you're giving from a place of abundance, not scarcity. Now move on to the second way kindness can ruin your life. Number 2, kindness can make you a target for manipulation. This one might be hard to swallow, but it's a truth we need to face. In this world, not everyone has pure intentions. There are people out there who see kindness as weakness, who are all too ready to take advantage of a generous heart. These manipulators, these users, they're experts at spotting kind people. They know just how to pull on your heartstrings, how to make you feel guilty for not helping them. They will use your kindness against you, draining you dry while giving nothing in return. Let me tell you about Tom. Tom was a successful businessman known for his kindness and generosity. He always went out of his way to help others, often lending money to friends and colleagues in need. But Tom's kindness made him a target. People started coming to him with sob stories, knowing he couldn't say no. They borrowed money with no intention of paying it back. They asked for favors that cost Tom time and resources. Before long, Tom found himself in financial trouble. His business suffering because he had given away so much. Allowing yourself to be manipulated isn't kindness. It's not helping anyone. Least of all yourself. Real kindness requires discernment. It requires the wisdom to know when your help is genuinely needed and when you're being taken for a ride. So how do you protect yourself? How do you stay kind without becoming a target? The key is to develop a keen sense of judgment. Learn to trust your gut. If something feels off, if you feel like you're being pressured or guilted into helping, take a step back. Ask yourself, is this person genuinely in need? Or are they just trying to use me? And remember, it's okay to ask for something in return. It's okay to expect reciprocity in your relationships. That's not being unkind, that's being fair. That's creating healthy, balanced relationships where both parties give and receive. But let's go even further. The long-term consequences of allowing yourself to be manipulated. Because make no mistake, it goes far beyond just losing some time or money. When you constantly allow others to take advantage of your kindness, you're sending a message. You're telling the world that you don't value yourself. That your needs, your boundaries, your very dignity is less important than making others happy. The world will believe you. People will start to see you as someone they can use and discard at will. Your relationships will become unbalanced, with you always giving and others always taking. But it doesn't stop there. This constant exploitation can lead to resentment. You might start to feel angry at the world, bitter about always being the one who gets taken advantage of. And that bitterness, it can poison your kindness, turning it into something toxic and forced. Have you ever met someone who seemed kind on the surface, but there was an undercurrent of anger or resentment in their actions? That's what happens when kindness is constantly exploited. It becomes a mask, hiding a well of negative emotions underneath. So what's the solution? How do you stay kind without becoming a target? The answer lies in self-respect, in knowing your worth and refusing to let anyone diminish it. It means being kind, yes, but also being strong. It means having the courage to call out manipulative behavior when you see it. To say, I'm happy to help, but I won't be used. Remember, true kindness comes from a place of strength, not weakness. It's about choosing to be good to others, not being forced into it by guilt or manipulation. So the next time you feel that someone is trying to take advantage of your kindness, stand tall. Set your boundaries. Show them that your kindness is a gift freely given, not a weakness to be exploited. Number 3, kindness can lead to burnout. We have all been there. That feeling of being stretched too thin, of giving and giving until there's nothing left to give. That, my friends, is the burnout that comes from misguided kindness. When we're too focused on being kind to others, we often forget to be kind to ourselves. We push ourselves to the limit, ignoring our own needs in the process. We say yes to every request, take on every problem, shoulder every burden. And for a while, it feels good. We feel needed, valued, important. But eventually, the weight becomes too much to bear. We find ourselves exhausted, emotionally drained, running on empty. Let me tell you about Alex. Alex was a teacher, loved by students and colleagues alike for her kindness and dedication. She stayed late every day to help struggling students. She volunteered for every committee, took on extra classes. and was always available to lend an ear to anyone who needed it. But as the years went on, Alex's light began to dim. The spark that made her such an inspiring teacher started to fade. She was constantly tired, irritable, and found herself dreading going to work. Alex had burned out, and her kindness was the fuel that fed the fire. That's when the burnout hits. And let me tell you, burnout is not kind. It's not kind to you, and it's certainly not kind to the people who depend on you. When you're burned out, you can't be there for others in the way you want to be. You can't give your best because you have nothing left to give. Your kindness becomes a shadow of what it once was, forced and resentful rather than genuine and joyful. So how do we avoid this trap? How do we stay kind without burning ourselves out? The answer lies in balance. In understanding that true kindness includes being kind to yourself. It means learning to say no sometimes. It means setting aside time for self-care, for rest and rejuvenation. It means recognizing that you can't pour from an empty cup and taking the time to refill your own reserves. But let's dig even deeper into this burnout issue. Because it's not just about feeling tired or stressed. Burnout can have serious consequences for your physical and mental health. When you're constantly giving without replenishing yourself, your body starts to suffer. Your immune system weakens, leaving you vulnerable to illness. Your sleep suffers, your eating habits deteriorate, and your overall health declines. Mentally, the toll can be even worse. Burnout can lead to depression, anxiety, and a loss of passion for the things you once loved. It can make you cynical, bitter, and resentful, the very opposite of the kind person you strive to be. When you burn out from being too kind, you're actually doing a disservice to the people you're trying to help. Because a burned out you is not the best you. It's not the you that can truly make a difference in the world. If you were a car, kindness would be your fuel. But even the most fuel-efficient car needs to stop for gas eventually. If you keep driving on empty, you will break down. And a broken down car can't take anyone anywhere. So what's the solution? How do we stay kind without burning ourselves out? It starts with recognizing that self-care is not selfish. It's necessary. It's vital. It's the foundation that allows you to be truly kind in a sustainable way. It means learning to prioritize. To understand that you can't do everything for everyone, and that's okay. It means learning to delegate, to ask for help when you need it. Because remember, allowing others to help you is also a form of kindness. You're giving them the opportunity to feel good about themselves. Most importantly, it means redefining what kindness means to you. It's not about sacrificing yourself on the altar of other people's needs. It's about creating a balance where you can give freely because your own cup is full. So the next time you feel yourself getting close to burnout, take a step back, take a deep breath, and remember, the kindest thing you can do for the world is to take care of yourself first. Number 4, kindness can rob you of your authenticity. Now, this one might surprise you. After all, isn't kindness supposed to be an authentic expression of who we are? But hear me out, because this is perhaps the most insidious way that misguided kindness can ruin your life. In our quest to be kind, we often start to mold ourselves into what we think others want us to be. We hide our true feelings, suppress our real opinions, and put on a mask of perpetual niceness. We do this because we think it's the kind thing to do. We don't want to hurt anyone's feelings. We don't want to rock the boat. We don't want to be seen as unkind, but in doing so, we lose touch with our authentic selves. Let me tell you about Maria. Maria was known as the nicest person in her office. She always had a smile on her face, never said a bad word about anyone, and agreed with everything her colleagues said. But inside, Maria was miserable. She had opinions and ideas that she never shared. She had grievances that she never aired. Her kindness had become a prison, trapping her true self behind bars of niceness. We become people pleasers, always saying what we think others want to hear rather than what we truly believe. We become chameleons, changing our colors to blend in with whatever environment we find ourselves in. And bit by bit, we lose ourselves. We forget who we really are, what we really want, what we really believe in. Our kindness becomes a facade, a performance rather than a genuine expression of our true selves. Real kindness the kind that doesn't ruin your life, comes from a place of authenticity. It's about being true to yourself while also considering the feelings of others. It's about finding that balance between honesty and compassion. Being kind doesn't mean always agreeing with everyone. It doesn't mean hiding your true feelings or opinions. Sometimes, the kindest thing you can do is to tell the truth, even if it's not what someone wants to hear. Loss of authenticity. Because it's not just about losing touch with your true self. It's about the impact that inauthenticity has on your relationships, your career, and your overall life satisfaction. When you're constantly putting on a mask of kindness, when you're always trying to be what you think others want you to be, you create shallow, superficial relationships. People aren't connecting with the real you, they're connecting with the persona you have created. These inauthentic relationships often leave us feeling more lonely and isolated than if we had no relationships at all. Because deep down, we know that people don't really know us. They don't love us. They don't love us for who we truly are, but for the mask we wear. All in our careers. This inauthenticity can hold us back from reaching our full potential. We might avoid speaking up in meetings, afraid of seeming unkind if we disagree with someone. We might pass up opportunities that align with our true passions, choosing instead to do what we think will please others. And in terms of life satisfaction, it's hard to feel truly fulfilled when you're not living as your authentic self. There's always a nagging feeling of disconnection, a sense that you're living someone else's life rather than your own. So how do we break free from this trap? How do we stay kind without losing our authenticity? It starts with self-awareness, with really getting to know yourself, your values, your beliefs, your passions, and then having the courage to live in alignment with those things. It means learning to express yourself honestly and respectfully, to disagree without being disagreeable, to stand up for what you believe in, even if it's not the popular opinion. It means understanding that true kindness isn't about making everyone like you. It's about treating others with respect and compassion, while also respecting and being compassionate towards yourself. Remember, you're not doing anyone any favors by pretending to be someone you're not. The world needs your unique perspective, your authentic voice. That's where your true power to make a difference lies. So the next time you find yourself about to compromise your authenticity in the name of kindness, pause. Take a deep breath. Ask yourself, is this truly kind, or am I just avoiding conflict? Am I being genuine? Or am I hiding behind a mask of niceness? Remember, true kindness doesn't require you to erase yourself. It doesn't demand that you become a blank canvas for others to paint their expectations on. Real kindness, the kind that enriches rather than ruins lives, is about being your best, most authentic self, and encouraging others to do the same. Now, you might be thinking, okay, I understand these 4 ways kindness can ruin my life, but what am I supposed to do about it? How can I be kind without falling into these traps? Well, my friends, that's exactly what we're going to explore next. Because understanding the problem is only half the battle. The real challenge and the real opportunity for growth lies in finding solutions. Boundaries are the unsung heroes of healthy kindness. They're the invisible lines that say this far and no further. They're what prevent you from becoming a doormat, protect you from manipulation, guard against burnout, and preserve your authenticity. Boundaries, they're not walls. They're not meant to shut people out or to make you cold and unapproachable. Think of them more like the banks of a river. They give your kindness direction and purpose, preventing it from overflowing and causing damage. Setting boundaries starts with self-awareness. You need to know your limits: physical, emotional, and mental. What can you realistically handle? What makes you uncomfortable? Where do you draw the line? Once you have identified your boundaries, the next step is to communicate them clearly and consistently. This is where many people falter. They worry that setting boundaries will make them seem unkind or selfish. But remember, these clear boundaries are a kindness in themselves. They prevent misunderstandings and resentment, allowing for healthier, more authentic relationships. Let's consider an example. Imagine you have a friend who constantly calls you late at night to vent about their problems. You want to be there for them, but these late night calls are disrupting your sleep and affecting your work performance. Setting a boundary might look like this. I care about you and want to support you, but I need my sleep to function well. Can we agree to talk before 9 p.m. or schedule a time to catch up over coffee instead? See how that works. You're still being kind and supportive, but you're also taking care of your own needs. That's the sweet spot we're aiming for. Discernment is your inner compass, your ability to judge situations and people accurately. It's what helps you differentiate between those who genuinely need your help and those who are trying to take advantage of your kindness. Developing discernment takes time and experience, but here are a few tips to get you started. Trust your gut. If something feels off about a situation or a person's request, it probably is. Don't ignore those instincts. 2, look for patterns. Does this person repeatedly find themselves in crisis, always needing your help? Do they ever offer support in return? 3, consider the consequences. What will happen if you say yes to this request? What will happen if you say no? Are you enabling harmful behavior by always coming to the rescue? 4, take your time. You don't have to respond to every request immediately. It's okay to say, let me think about it and get back to you. Remember, being discerning doesn't mean becoming cynical or distrustful. It means being wise and thoughtful in how you extend your kindness. Self-care isn't just about bubble baths and chocolate, though those can certainly be part of it. Real self-care is about maintaining your physical, emotional, and mental health. It's about setting aside time to recharge your batteries, pursue your passions, and nurture your spirit. But for some, this might mean regular exercise or meditation. For others, it could be reading a good book, spending time in nature, or engaging in a hobby. The specifics don't matter as much as the regularity and the intention behind them. Self-care isn't something you do only when you're already burned out. It should be a regular part of your routine, as non-negotiable as brushing your teeth or going to work. And another important thing to remember, asking for help is a form of self-care. Many kind people struggle with this. They're so used to being the helper that they forget how to be the helped. But remember, allowing others to support you isn't just good for you. It's an act of kindness towards them. It gives them the opportunity to feel good about making a difference. Now, circle back to authenticity. Being authentic while being kind can feel like walking a tightrope. On one side, you have your true thoughts and feelings. On the other, you have your desire to be kind and not hurt others. The key is to find balance. Start by getting clear on your values. What really matters to you? What do you stand for? Once you have a solid understanding of your core values, it becomes easier to express yourself authentically without compromising your kindness. For instance, if honesty is a core value for you, you might find yourself in situations where telling the truth could hurt someone's feelings. The trick is to find a way to be truthful while still being considerate of the other person's feelings. It's not about choosing between honesty and kindness. It's about finding a way to embody both. You might say something like, I care about you. And because of that, I want to be honest with you. I have some thoughts on this that might be hard to hear, but I'm sharing them because I believe it's important. Are you open to discussing this? See how that works. You're being authentic by expressing your honest thoughts. But you're also being kind by considering the other person's feelings and giving them a choice in the conversation. Many people who pride themselves on their kindness struggle with this. They're so used to giving that they feel uncomfortable or even guilty when others try to do something nice for them. If you always deflect or reject others' attempts at kindness, you're denying them the joy of giving. You're also reinforcing the unhealthy belief that you always have to be the giver, never the receiver. Learning to accept kindness with grace and gratitude is an important part of maintaining balance in your relationships and in your life. It allows for a healthy flow of give and take, preventing the burnout that comes from always being the giver. So the next time someone offers you a compliment, a favor, or a gift, resist the urge to deflect or minimize it. Instead, look them in the eye, smile, and say a heartfelt thank you. Allow yourself to feel the warmth of their kindness.